Shadow Strike isn't just for PvP, and neither is Backstab, but this isn't bait, and those aren't the only runes in Raid. All 5 of these runes are used by the very best rogues, but of course, not all at the same time and not on every boss. There isn't some secret Shadow Strike Backstab spec out there, but there is secret boss tech that makes these wacky runes meta for a few fights. I'll give away the talents and the gear here, but the why always matters more than the what, so let's talk talents. Here's a little secret. This is a rune we use on most fights, so improved Sinister Strike is required. Back in the Assassination tree, we take Malice. No one uses Eviscerate much, except when the boss is nature immune, like Aquinas. We get the trifecta for the next row, taking all 3 of the talents. Recklessness gives a 60% chance to get a combo point back whenever you spend them. Murder makes us 2% better at murdering categorized non-elemental monsters. And finally, we get improved Slice and Dice for 45% more uptime. And Relentless Strikes, because it's basically a 5 energy discount on all your combo point generating moves. Now, back to the runes for a moment. These are the standard runes for when you're fighting people or abusing animals. Some things don't bleed, but everything has a back, so sometimes we sub out Saber Slash for Backstab. That's how we get our 4th rune, Slaughter from the Shadows. But you may notice these runes aren't on the same slot. Well, what we do is we take Shadow Strike in this case, because we won't be using Sinister Strike if we are using Slaughter from the Shadows. Shadow Strike can help increase our uptime, and so it gives a tiny DPS increase on every fight. Now, as for your rotation, this is how you hit the buttons. Skip the lane parkour and teleport behind Nestle. He's immune to nature damage and bleeds, so we're fine ditching Deadly Brew and Savvy Slashy. Hit Backstab a lot. Unless you have bad daggers, then you're gonna have to use Sinister Strike. Now, get Slice and Dice up quickly. Keep using it throughout the fight until you get to the final one, where you'll have to see, is this going to expire before the boss dies? If that's the case, you're gonna have to throw out an Eviscerate instead. And that last bit of timing the Eviscerate, that's how all the bosses go at the end. You're gonna be constantly keeping up Slice and Dice, except on Ghamoora, and then you're going to use something that consumes your combo points right at the end and deals damage. Not always with 5 combo points though, of course. Speaking of Ghamoora, we're going to go back to our old ways. Deadly Brew, Saber Slash, and Envenom. Now, I know I said Slice and Dice is strange on Ghamoora. You only use it early on and with a single combo point. This perfectly times the first 5-point Envenom to occur right after the shell breaks, so we cannot spend more than 1 combo point prior to the shell breaking. Hopefully that makes sense, but it might leave you wondering, why would we use a 1 combo point Slice and Dice instead of a 1 combo point Envenom? Well, that's because Envenom scales quadratically with combo points. This is because combo points increase how much damage Envenom procs cause and increase the length that the effect lasts. Needless to say, a 1-point Envenom that lasts 1 second is not a good idea, but a 5-point Envenom is crazy. Now our next fight, Lady, has another trick, and that one involves money. Use the free action potion when it gets cold. This will allow you to stand in the cold and not get stunned. The other trick to this fight is knowing your approximate kill time. If your group is any good, you're going to get 1 Slice and Dice off on this boss, and the amount of combo points you put into it is going to be lower the quicker you kill the boss. The rest of the fight, you just coast out the Slice and Dice buff and put all your points into Envenom. This is only due to the fight length. If this boss took 5 minutes to kill, we'd keep Slice and Dice up always and not have a variable pull rotation. Gelihast has a pretty predictable rotation. You only have variance at the end where you need to decide if you have enough time left to do another Slice and Dice. On pull, get some combo points and do a 5-point Envenom. Do it fast though, or he's going to become immune before you get it off. Now, while he's immune, you can still build combo points, so you're going to build back up to 5 combo points so you can Slice and Dice right off the rip when he becomes hittable again. Repeat this until the final phase, and then for the final phase, you're going to get a Slice and Dice out, but you probably won't get a second one out. You're either going to kill the boss before it expires, or you're going to see that getting a second one out would not have high enough utilization to make sense, and then you'll just cap it off with an Envenom instead. Lorgus is a shit show. If Lightning Totem spawns and your group needs you to target it, well, you're going to lose your combo points. And you're also probably going to want to do a Slice and Dice before you switch targets, but it's probably not the best time always. There's not a whole lot to this fight. The real key here is not having to switch targets. If you do have to switch targets, this is a lame fight for a rogue or a feral druid. Now, Kelris isn't exactly exciting either. and it also forces you to change targets. The trick on here is getting teleported in the second group, so you can get a nice long slice and dice off on pull. Nothing else is really special about this fight. There are ways to control who gets sent down, so potentially if you have a lot of melee, you could even organize a group to where you never have to get sent down, but that's going to be a lot of work. Now, Akumai is perhaps the most vanilla fight in here. It's a fairly long encounter for groups of any DPS level, so you kind of just get into the rotation of high combo point slice and dice, keep it up all the time, and you throw out some envenoms here and there. There's really nothing to it. I'd say it's the best fight for most people. But before we can kill any of the bosses, we need to get some more stats. These are the consumes you can use. We got a few options. Gain stamina with Rumsey or food. Well, and or food. You can have them both. No DPS food exists for us currently, so take it or leave it. You can use these elixirs, they give DPS stats, or if you're rich, you can use scrolls. Or if you're Horde and you're insane and you have the Blood Gem quest reward, you can get this. But probably don't actually do that because you grab the buff over here, which is not all that close to BFD, which is all the way over here. So you're gonna need a summon. That's gonna make your life complicated. Rogues also get Thistle Tea, which is great, but it uses your Health Stone CD, so just be careful on fights where you might try to heal yourself. And as for potions, we only really have free action, shadow protection, and swiftness that can even be useful to us in combat. Later on in the game, we're gonna have limited invulnerability potion too. But yeah, the potions for us, they're not that huge. Take them with you. Swiftness can be really handy if your tank's a jackass and likes to just go and pull without telling you. And don't forget to get your world buffs before raid. Don't be lazy. Look at how strong these things are. It's going to increase your DPS by a ton, and if you use a weapon stone, you better only have it on your offhand, because otherwise you won't be able to get Wind Fury. We also have one more thing we can blame other than ourselves in raid for our damage, and that would be buff uptime. Check out all of these handsome classes that are there only to assist us in raid. Even our competitors help us out. From left to right, they offer us stats, armor pen, 30% bleed damage bonus, more stats, Wind Fury, armor pen, but better than Sunder Armor, and more importantly, not our responsibility. These two are useful if you're a rogue tank, but otherwise who cares? And the last two guys give us attack power. Love it. Here's the AP to weapon damage formula, and also the Envenom thumbnail. Read them. But we can cover gear, since the only reason you guys raid is for gear to abuse people out in the world. This is your ticket to ride. We're looking at the thrift store gear first. Get this stuff to get into raid. This may raise some questions like, why is there no offhand? And that's because get any offhand, there's not a really great pre-bis option that sticks out and is easy to get. Or, more importantly, why do we have of the Tiger gear and of power gear? Isn't one of them better? Yes. Well, it's because not all the items can get the same item stat rolls. There are pieces that can have power, and there's pieces that can have Tiger. They're not always the same ones. Remember, power beats Tiger, Tiger beats agility. And this is because the AP portion of Agi is not worth a lot right now. Agi gives us 50% less crit than it gives a warrior, although it does give us 1 AP. And AP is worth a ton to us right now, and you'll get 2 AP from a of the power item for every 1 Agi an of Agi item would give you. So power is a no-brainer. Tiger, on the other hand, it's much closer to pure Agi. It's a little better though. Rogues do get an AP from strength. Just remember, power beats Tiger beats Agi. Now for the good stuff. Remember, AP is almost worth as much as agility because crit's not that big for us. That's why we use items of power and Tiger, but not any items of agility. Artemis Cowl illustrates this well. We could have taken something with agility on it, or well, more agility, and we decided not to. This isn't an accident, it's just that 10 AP beats 3 agility and 1% hit chance. Things just aren't the way they were at level 60 for Rogue. The game cares a lot more about actual raw attack power right now than it did back then. Although, of course, if you're a backstab rogue, you didn't care about anything except attack power once you got like a certain amount of gear.